Live every night on the Halos in the Infield Baseball Network.
Think about it. We'll get into everything that we're going to get into as we go along, but I got to rant real quick. But why would you throw out an inexperienced pitcher in a game you're still close in? And I don't care what the record is. You show up for a fucking rivalry game. But he's actually talking to him constantly. That is a sign of a really, really good coach.
It's the ToddFox postgame podcast with your host, ToddFox.
Because the only thing I want to yell is, fuck! Hey, welcome into all those that are on. It's quite a bit late after the game. I had a lot of things to do today. I got off work. I worked during the game, so I was listening to Terry and Mark Langston on the call for the majority of it, pretty much almost the whole game. But let's get into it. 714 Tickets. 714 Tickets is a place to be to get 10% off of your next purchase through Halos in the Infield. You go to the apply code now, put HITI, and you get that 10% off. You could use it multiple times, not just one time. So we're here to talk about the Angels and Royals, Game 2. And what hurts about this game is a lot of things. Not only the final score, not only how you lost the game, not only how things went in the beginning, how promising it was, the standings. You get a break. Cincinnati beats Houston again, and you could smell the division. From yesterday, we were all, ooh, what's that smell? It's the division. Texas is falling back to earth. They're not really playing good baseball. They're not again, someone called it, they're starting to fade, and they're starting to get predictable. So with the Rangers now starting to come back to earth a little bit, now's our chance to get the job done against the weaker teams in the league. And Kansas City Royals right now are ninth. Well, before today, we're 18-50 with a 10-game losing streak. Now, again, any given Sunday is same thing with any given Major League Baseball game because any team can win on any night. It's been proven over and over. So it's not one of these things where we're sitting there and we're like, okay, the Royals can't beat the Angels. Angels are untouchable. We can roll them, this, and that. No, the Royals can come up and do things. And, you have to keep the foot on the gas. Now, if you're going to ask me who's to blame for this game, you know what I mean? Like what's going on? Because they lost this game 10-9. The Angels scored 9 runs on 11 hits, very efficient. Kansas City scored 10 on 11. They scored 8 runs after the 7th inning. Now you would say, now how did you do that? How did they get to the 8 runs in the last few innings? Well, Aroldis Chapman gets the win. He goes to 2-2. Davinsky goes to 3-1. Let's get into the scoring because I think that's what we want to talk about here, the scoring. Brandon Drury scored in the second inning with a leadoff home run to make it 1-0. Angels at that point looking okay. They get Taylor Ward with a home run as well, a batter later, 2-0. Then MJ Melendez ties it up. The world famous MJ Melendez hits a 2-run shot. Salvador Perez scored again. That's the guy that kills us usually. It's 2-2 at this point. Then Mickey Moniak grounds into a force-out. Second baseman Nicky Lopez to shortstop Bobby Witt. Stefanik scored with the bases loaded. Velasquez, my favorite player, and Moniak reached base right there to make it 3-2. Then Shohei grounds out, getting an RBI to make it 4-2. Then Brandon Drury comes back in the top of the 6th to add on 2 runs to make it a 6-2 Angels lead. Then Stefanik doubles for the first time and drives in a run. It's 7-2. Shohei Ohtani hits his league-leading 23rd home run to pop it into the center field wall, and it's 8-2. Now, the Angels have blown 3 games after the 9th inning. They've also done a good job of, blowing games earlier in the season, specifically in April and early May. They were just blowing games left and right. They were leading the league with blown and missed opportunities in save situations. So here's where some people will go against me and say, you know what, or say, hey, the wrong move. What did you think about the pitching? What did you think about the decisions by Nevin? And I'll say this right off the bat, which I don't really agree with Phil Nevin's philosophy all that much. And like I said last night, if this team were to win, if this team were to win sorry, I saw that comment. Cesar Lopez says, Todd, my grandma's in a wheelchair and she can run faster than Taylor Ward. That guy can't catch a fly ball. There was all kinds of defensive plays in this game, and we'll get to it and everything else like that. But if you were to ask me, what did you think of Phil Nevin's philosophy after Griffin Canning went out? Now, we all know Griffin Canning couldn't have went any past the 6th inning. He gave you 6 solid innings, gave you a quality start, just 2 runs, 3 hits. I'll look at his numbers right now for the game. He did a bang-up job. If you look at it, his pitching was 6 innings, 2 runs, 3 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, and he gave up 1 home run. So he should have been cruising to his 6th win of the season. Now, Steve Lee's told me, and a couple other people were like, man, why the hell would you go to Colton Ingram right there? Well, because you got a 6-run lead, and you sent down Jimmy Herget. Herget would have been another guy to put in that spot. Tucker Davidson would have been a good guy to put in that spot. Aaron Loop would have been a good guy to put in that spot. So with that being said, I didn't mind them going to the rookie because, again, the Angels have pulled up for the most part their rookies, and they've come through and pitched really good. Now, they're not always going to pitch like that, and you saw the results tonight. Some rookies will take their lumps. Like we saw Ben Joyce take his lumps a couple times in Houston. You're not going to be unhittable, and especially when you first start out. There's going to be games where you're pretty good and games where you're pretty bad, and you've got to adjust. I think we've seen it with a couple guys, and it was one of those things where it was a clusterfuck because all this, hey, let's save our bullpen for certain days, all this, hey, we got to be fresh and all this nonsense by Nevin, and look what it got you today because, again, Colton Ingram was the right move. The wrong move with Colton Ingram was to let him go more than 3 batters. I think it was pretty evident to see after the first 3 batters he didn't have it. And some guys just don't have it. Maybe he's going to be a good pitcher, but we don't know yet. He didn't have it. So, in all actuality, you gave the momentum back to the Kansas City Royals. And they began to get the runs. Webb had to come in and inherit the bases loaded again. He would allow a single or a double to score in 2 more runs after Colton had already allowed 1 in. And all of a sudden, it's 8-5. But credit to Webb again with the bases loaded, he got out of it. Okay, he got out of the jam. So then you throw it over to Soriano, which again, the right move. Nevin's making the right move. You're going with your big cats. You're going with the guys that got you there. And he comes in, and right away Soriano's pitching his thing, doing his thing, but he's missing. Walks the first 2 guys. Gets an out, then hits a guy. Then all of a sudden, base hit, 2-run score, or 1 run scored. Should have been 2, but the rookie made a mistake and didn't come in. You're still holding on to an 8-6 lead. So then you bring in Davinsky. Davinsky saves Soriano, and you're still leading 8-6. You do nothing in the 9th inning. Or in the bottom of the 8th, or top of the 8th, you throw it over to the defense again, and the team again to hold on to it, and you give up 3 more in the bottom of the 8th inning to make it 8-8. I'm sorry, it was 8-5, but you gave up those three runs by Davinsky. He gave up another one. Moniak could have made the play. My bad. It's 8-8 at that point. So then Trout comes through in the 9th inning. And again, I'm on board with just about every one of these moves that Nevin has made. I'm not liking the fact of what happened with, I'm not liking the fact that what happened with Davinsky coming in and, getting roughed up a little bit. But You get the lead in the ninth inning off of Chapman. You left the bases loaded. Squid actually came through and stole a couple bases, helped you get a run. And you're going to get this victory. Now imagine your surprise and my surprise when there is no Esteves. Here's where, again, I can look at Nevin and say, okay, you made the right move. You went with a rookie to get him some experience. He shit the bed. Okay, maybe you should have took him out a little earlier. I think you gave him a little too much leeway. Let the Royals get back in the game. Fine, I'll get past that. But you pulled the right trigger with Soriano. You pulled the right trigger with Webb. You pulled the right trigger with Davinsky. But what the fuck were you doing in the ninth inning? They just gave you the lead. Davinsky's shown that he doesn't have it either. It was poor execution by all the pitchers involved. Yet in the press conference, Philosophy was asked the question straight up. Why did you not bring in Carlos Estevez? And his direct quote was, I felt he needed more rest. Rest from what? You pitched 2 days ago. You had yesterday off. He is not a starting pitcher. Closers need to close on a nightly to every other night to maybe 2-3 nights in a row. And you pitch him once. Yeah, he didn't have it. But you had everyone say, oh, he's so tired. And FS1 was mocking Phil Nevin after the game and mocking the Angels, mocking Esteves especially, saying that he must be really tired in a sarcastic way. We are now becoming a laughingstock. Esteves, look, here's my thing. I've watched baseball a long time, and I'm not even going to go back that long. But you think about it. Do you remember Frankie Rodriguez? Do you know of Troy Percival? Do you know of Brian Fuentes? A lot of these closers that came on the Angels. And if you don't want to remember them, Trevor Hoffman from the Padres, Mariano Rivera. You could go to some of the closers even today. And Iglesias that used to pitch for us. I don't remember them sitting him after a day. They were like, okay, you closed yesterday, come back tomorrow. And then, if you pitch 2 or 3 nights, then okay, take the day off. But the reason why I bring up Fuentes and Frankie Rodriguez and Troy Percival, here's the difference. If one of those pitchers threw 40 pitches and struggled and maybe blew a save, got tagged with a loss, or just it cost them a lot of pitches that night to get the final outs, yeah, you would consider, and most likely, say for instance they threw 40 pitches in 1 inning. Whether they won or lost the lead and had to go to extra innings, they pitched that night before 40 pitches. I agree. Sit their ass down. I've always known that after about 35, 40 pitches for a mid-reliever onto a closer, you generally want to give them the next night off because that's a lot of pitches for a relief pitcher. However, when you're talking about a guy who threw 20 pitches, most of them were balls, he really didn't have it. Okay, I could see him sitting yesterday for confidence or whatnot. Why would you then give him a second day off? Because, again, I've seen Troy Percival blow a save, and he threw about 22 pitches. Guess who was back in the lineup the next night in a save situation, forgetting what he did the night before, and notching the save and throwing 20 more pitches or less? Troy Percival, Frankie Rodriguez, even Brian Fuentes. Go down the list. Mariano Rivera. You can go to Iglesias from last year. These pitchers have egos, and they also know to keep that closing spot. You got to come. You think for a moment if Kansas City was anywhere close to winning team, which they're not, had they needed Aroldis Chapman to pitch today, and he did what he did today, don't you think they'd use him tomorrow as well? I mean, they practically used both of their closers, Fellow and this guy, Aroldis Chapman. they would use him again. I mean, if you look at how Kansas City played this game, including the ninth inning, where it was beautiful. They stole a base. They went to third. They bunted over when they got another guy on base. It was just smart baseball. They nickeled and dimed us to death. And again, it all hurts against the Angels when you're walking guys over and over. You had 5 walks plus, after the 7th inning, a hits batsman. You're giving outs away and you're giving bases to a team that really doesn't, that needs it because they can't get it on their own. They're a bad baseball team, worst in all of baseball. Yet we made them look fairly good today. They outslugged us. I mean, how many times have they been shut out? How many times can they not score 3 runs? They look a lot like our offense from last year. Yet they came out and they scored 10, including 8 after the 6th inning. That's embarrassing on so many levels. And again, this philosophy states, I think you need to start resting our pitchers. Don't use them back to back, so on and so on. I don't see it working. I see it failing more than it does work. I realize you have to utilize your bullpen in certain spots. Like I said, Colton Ingram was the right call. Give the rookie some experience. You just brought him up. But I don't like the fact that we're going with this formula of coddle the pitchers. Don't worry about it. They're gonna, like they pitched yesterday. They can't pitch today. I think it's throwing them off. I really do. It's either that or they had too much Kansas City barbecue because all the pitchers were ineffective except Griffin Canning. Griffin Canning pitched an outstanding game. It sucks that he's a tough luck, no decision guy. But he pitched a good game. So the way that they're doing it right now, pissing away games, it sucks. And they need to take advantage of these games whenever they can. I want to go back. I think by the All-Star break, I'm going to chart how many games that we've blown because of ineffective bullpens earlier in the year. Also, I mean, because you're going to lose games. I mean, look. I'd be blowing smoke up your guys' ass if I was to say, hey, this team's going to go on a run. They're going to be 162-0. It's not. You're going to lose games during the regular season. Some that you should win, some that you should lose, but somehow it comes out on your end, or it's one of those things where you'll win some, you'll lose some. Sometimes you shouldn't win, but you do. Sometimes you should win, but you lose. This was one of those. It's one of those disappointing ones. And we talked about it before. They had blown something like 10 out of their first 26 opportunities to hold or save games after the 7th inning. And that was prior to the bullpen becoming as strong as it is today. Because if you look at their ERA from late May to where it is June right now, midway through June, it's about at a 1.43 ERA. So it's nothing to sit there and say, oh, my God, the bullpen's been so bad. The bullpen's been really good. You're due to have a bad night, a couple pitchers, but the entire staff. And one thing is this. We'll never know if Esteves could have gotten the save. But I would have rode with my dog, who is Esteves. I didn't, just because he loaded the bases the other night in Texas, even if we lose that game, that's still our closer. He hasn't blown like back to back to back. He was perfect. So he was due for a bad outing. So we got lucky, and we got, the save through Webb. He had a night off to collect his thoughts and to do some things, whatever regimen that he did to get himself ready for the next game. But they didn't put him in there. It made no sense. Like, Esteves, look, you had Davinsky in the 8th inning. Fine, he got out of the jam. Trout comes through actually with a clutch hit, and you're up 9-8. Where the fuck was Esteves? some of this stuff is just not making any sense. It's just not making any sense. Because again, I had someone message me. Maybe it's his mental health. Maybe Esteves looked lost the other day in Texas. So you mean to tell me a pitcher like Esteves is not made to fail? Like he doesn't understand failure? So just because he left the bases loaded, oh my God, it wrecked his psyche? Dude pitched in Colorado. He pitched in Colorado. He should have a wrecked psyche just because he pitched in Colorado. But pitching in Colorado, he did good while he was there. But I'm sure he's experienced his ups and downs. So I don't understand how you could sit there and tell me, oh, we need to give him another day off. Because it was clear the rest of the bullpen didn't have it today. They didn't have it. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Soriano sucks. Oh, DFA this guy. Davinsky, Webb. I mean, dude, what we've gotten out of those pitchers since they've come up or been brought into the team has been awesome. I'm not going to shit on their performances. Was Colton Ingram called up too early? Who knows? But in his first opportunity, he looks like he shit the bed pretty good. Even Nevin said in the postgame he was really nervous out there. He didn't look like he had it. Okay, Nevin, if you can see that he didn't have it, why not take him out after the first three batters? I mean, it only makes sense. I mean, he got one out out of the first three. You let him build up the bases loaded, give up a run, and then leave it all over to Webb again. Webb wasn't going to be Superman and get you out of that jam again. If he did, he would have been the Stamos again tonight. But this is a team that had lost 10 straight games in a row. 10 in a row. They're sitting there with the worst record in all of baseball. This was the double-digit win at home, meaning they had like 9 wins and something like 26 losses at home. This was their 10th win at home, barely. They're like 9 and something else on the road. They're terrible. And you just let them come back on you in the back end of the game. They literally stole this one. And like I said before, yesterday everybody was like, man, oh, I'm smelling the playoffs, or I'm smelling that division. Because I was too. You think about had they beaten Texas in Game 3. If they won today, they kept pace. You're looking at 2.5 games out right now. Still 2.5 games out. But because you lost that one on Game 3, and then you lost today, you lost a game in the standings. Now you and Houston are tied for second, 4.5 out. Now 4.5 out's nothing to be upset about. That's as close as we've been in quite some time, and that's fine. But just the realization of losing to Kansas City is kind of pissing me off. Now, if they're going to just take this loss and then go on a win streak and beat up the Dodgers, who are sucking ass, which I love, that's fine. But the Angels had a chance today to go 9 games over 500 for the first time in quite some time this late in the season, and they blew it. They're still 7-3 in their last 10. Texas and Houston are 3-7 in their last 10. Toronto's going to come with a better pitching matchup tomorrow. So I'm hoping Toronto can wipe the floor with Texas. They almost came back and beat them today. They had their chances but lost. It'll be, I think, Dane Dunning tomorrow. No, it's the Sunday one. I'm looking ahead. Toronto will have Chris Bassett, which I like a lot. He's going to be going up against John Gray, Mr. Blister. Hopefully they can beat him. And that could help us out. We need to win tomorrow. My concern is we got Anderson. Tyler Anderson going tomorrow. You literally pissed away a really good pitching matchup today. So I don't understand philosophy. I don't understand the reasoning of sitting him for a second day. He literally came out in the press conference after the game and said, wow, I felt he still needed more rest. From what? He literally threw something like 22 pitches. 18, I think, were balls. So it's like, bro, he didn't really do nothing. You know what I mean? He wasn't hit around. He didn't pitch 40 pitches. And even if he did, old school pitchers from pitchers just a couple years ago, from pitchers this year, throw 40 pitches and may come back the next night. Or they just have one night off and they come back again, pitch 2 nights in a row. We coddle these guys way too much. So I'm going to get into the Stamos Award tonight. It's a very, very frustrating post-game show, and I've kept it together because I just didn't feel like yelling. I was yelling earlier, but you had a guy like Taylor Ward come through with 2 hits and a home run. You had Stefanik come through with 2 hits. This is a guy that, again, I hate Squid with a passion, but at least he dropped down a bunt single. He was able to steal a base or 2. He did something tonight. And you had Stefanik come up with 2 hits. He looked decent out there, but defensively, everyone struggles with that. They don't really like him out there defensively. Drury had a big game, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs. Ohtani with that blast with 2 home runs. I mean, Trout even had 2 hits. This was supposed to be a get-right, feel-good game. And unfortunately, it was a get-right, feel-good game for 6 innings. And then we turned it over to a bullpen that's been very good. And if you say, hey, man, they sucked tonight, well, they did suck tonight. But I don't think tonight's performance really shows what this bullpen has done. So I'm not going to sit here and rag on it because they built up a resume so far this season that's shown that they can pitch in tough games, and they've been pitching good. But tonight was an aberration, and someone should have put the fire out, and it just seemed like everyone he called couldn't put the fire out. And if you're Mateo right now, and he's coaching that little league team, and he brings in 3 pitchers in relief to try to close out a game, and none of them have it, and somehow, some way you still got a lead, you bring your best pitcher in there and close that shit out. That's what you do. That's what winning ball clubs do. And philosophy's like, nah, let's just bring the guy in there that doesn't have it. So I'm going to give the Stamos to 3 players. And for the first time, I'm going to mix and match. I've been giving it to multiple people. I'm going to give it back to, at some point, just 1 player per game. But I think for this one, it did deserve 3 people, and from both teams. 1 from the other team. I'm going to give the first Stamos out to Drury. Again, without him, if we were to get any kind of closer at the end of the game, he's a star in both games. Had 2 RBIs yesterday. He comes through with 3 RBIs today with 2 home runs and looked really good in the box and relaxed and played some good defense as well. So Drury gets my number 1 Stamos. Number 2 is Ohtani, just because he's now the league leader in home runs. He's leading over Pete Alonso right now, 23 home runs. He's on a freaking tear right now, 13 or 14 game hitting streak. No one's hitting the ball harder than he is right now, and I love it. He's going the opposite way, Apple Taco. So he gets your second Stamos. The third Stamos, I have to give it to this guy. I don't like doing it to, giving the other team the Stamos, but let's give it to Bobby Witt Jr. He was 0 for 3 coming in with a strikeout till it mattered. And you want to talk about clutchness? 2 hits in the final 2 innings. Both were 2-run doubles to drive in 4 RBIs total. You can't mess with that. Bobby Witt Jr., probably the only good player outside of Salvador Perez on that team, and they came through in the clutch. And the Royals, if you think about it, man, I mean, they were 6 for 10. Most of that damage was done late in the game, obviously, but they got the hits when they needed to, and they came back. And it's just depressing that you drop a game to a team that's so lowly, and again, an opportunity to go 8 games or to go 9 games over. I'm sorry. And you drop it now to 7, and you hope to just win the series tomorrow. So let's get into the what is it called? The Nacho night.
All the chips, all the cheese, all the refried beans, all the onion and tomato and the guacamole, all the beef and jalapeno and the sour cream, all the nachos.
I think right now you have to give it to one guy and one guy only, with help from a little Phil. and you sprinkle a little fill in there. I'm gonna put a little philosophy on this one. He's gonna clean up the scraps. You know, the melted cheese, or like basically when you buy the helmet nachos at Anaheim Stadium, you know, you overpay for them. Most of the toppings are on top. And a lot of people just dig at the toppings on top and eat all the toppings with a couple of chips, or you know what I mean, like use a fork. You got to mash the toppings into the bottom of the chips, because if you don't, you're just going to have a scrapings of cheese in the very bottom of the nachos, and you're going to just get to the stalest part of the nacho helmet, which is the chips with no toppings on them. So a lot of people tend to eat the toppings first, and then the scraps are on the bottom. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I think Phil deserves the scraps on the bottom with the molded cheese, because you know, our boy Colton Ingram ate all of the cheese on top of the nacho helmet, and all the other fixings that are part of it. Because Colton Webb, 2/3 of an inning, one third of an inning, he gave up 2 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 2 walks. He now has an 81 ERA. Obviously, that's over-exaggerated with his little limited time. But he did not look like he had it. And again, I know you have to face 3 guys, but I don't like the fact that you let him pass those 3 batters. I think if anyone was watching the game, hell, I wasn't even watching the game. I was listening to the game, and you could tell Colton Ingram didn't have it. So why not pull the plug after the 4th batter at least? But no, that is philosophy. Let the kid suffer. Let the other team get back in the game. And that's exactly what happened. So the Angels take a tough loss and lose 10-9. And I think you guys and gals know exactly what song needs to be played, because this is what I should have let off with, but this is what we're left with.
Why do you build me up, buttercup baby, just to let me down? Mess me around, and then worst of all, you never call baby when you say you will. But I love you still, I need you more than anyone, darling. You know that I have from a start.
Sing it if you know it.
So build me up, buttercup, don't break my heart.
Thank you for Artie for traumatizing us fans with that song for years upon years before finally getting rid of it. But build me up, Buttercup. This was a Buttercup game. Buttercup like no other Buttercup this season. And to a team that sucks so bad, it's even worse. It is a Buttercup game of all Buttercups, dude. I mean, like, seriously. How many of you turned off the TV or turned down the radio and were like, oh, I could get to some chores around the house today. It's Saturday. You know, or I could run to the store right now. The Angels are blowing them out. It's 8-2. It's the Royals. But, man, how in the world did they lose that game? I mean, literally, I'm doing my job today, and I'm listening to the game, and I can't believe what I'm hearing. And I wanted to see if possibly, you know, like, I rewatched the last 3 innings, and you could tell none of those guys had their number one shit. It wasn't the umpires. They were just flat out missing. I mean, all their pitchers. And sometimes you need to stop the bleeding. And that would involve the closer that you have. The only thing that would make me more pissed off than what I already was today would be the fact that if they were to actually go to, you know, if we had Iglesias still and we're paying high dollar for him and we're resting him like this. Now, I understand Esteves didn't sign a huge contract. But Esteves is effective as a closer. And yes, I understand the bases loaded game in Texas. But that game does not define what he can do. I believe if they would have went to him in the 9th inning, we're talking about a close call. The fact that Canning got screwed and should have got the win, but in the end, the Angels will get the win. Davinsky gets it in relief. Esteves closes it out. I think you need to show confidence in your closer. This may backfire in Phil Nevin's face. It may backfire showing no confidence in Carlos Estevez. Because contrary to what we've been told and about how these pitchers need to be managed, didn't we read an article or see an article online that said that Carlos Estevez calls his own shots and tells Phil when, hey, I don't want to rest, I want to go tonight? So if that's the case, is it Carlos Estevez didn't want to go today, but then again, Nevin covering for him and saying, no, he needed a second day off? Or is it Nevin putting his foot down like, bro, you sucked a couple nights ago. I don't have confidence in you. Take one more day off. We'll get you ready for Sunday. Because to me, if you think about it, why rest guys in the first place? You literally have a day and a half off. Think about it. Almost 2 days, if you think about it. They're going to be off and leaving Kansas City tomorrow somewhere around 5 o'clock in the evening, 6 o'clock the latest. They'll get home from Kansas City at LAX before 10 o'clock maybe if their flight leaves on time. You spend all night here Sunday night, Father's Day stuff, whatever. You're off all Monday. They don't have a game Monday. Then you don't play to Tuesday night. You don't have to report to the stadium till around 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So you have a good amount of time off as it is. So why the fuck are we still pampering these guys and saying, you need a day off, you need it off, you get a day off, you get a day off? There better not be this shit tomorrow to where if we're in a close game tomorrow that we're going to say, oh, well, Soriano pitched the day before. Webb pitched the day before. You got another day off. Don't do that shit. Like, I'm really interested to see how committed to this winning that this team is. Are we really committed to winning if we're constantly resting guys? Like, I want to see who's available. We already know Rendon's not going to play tomorrow. Rendon might not even play till Tuesday, I heard. Maybe Wednesday. He's still nursing a supposed contusion. X-rays are negative. Freaking Gio's out there played. He could have almost played with a broken pelvis. He wanted to still play. It's like, are you serious? And he wonders why we don't take him seriously. He wonders why fans boo him. I mean, it's outrageous to see. I mean, again, I told you guys yesterday, if somehow this team gets to the postseason, I have to eat crow and say, man, Phil's days off, his freaking load management, the way he changes up the lineup, the way, I don't like anything that he does, but it's winning baseball supposedly, and it works for this team, however it does. But I just think that in the long run, it's not going to get us to the postseason. We've lost a lot of games we should win. Looking at this season so far, I think we've lost more games than we should have lost but won, if you catch my drift. There's been so many games where we've left it out there and we should have freaking won the game. Or Nevin decides, hey, you know what? We're going with the B team today. We're not trying to get the sweep. We're not trying to avoid the sweep. These guys played too hard in the losses the 2 games prior. That kind of shit pisses me off. It really pisses me off. I've never seen a team go about their business the way this team does. I don't understand it. Let's get into some of the comments, shall we? Let's see. Where's Rendon? JT, he's still hurt. Davinsky did his job. The 9th was for Esteves. He gains his confidence back with his save, but instead Davinsky gets the loss and probably messes with his confidence now. That is the good point, Danny909. Nevin came out after the game and said that he won't pitch Esteves 2 days in a row as long as we're competing for a playoff spot. Like I said the other day, load management is killing sports. And guess who is spearheading the load management in baseball? Why, that would be your Los Angeles Angels. Also, if you think watching this game unravel was maddening, listening to French and the rest of Bally's clowns make excuses and try to polish this turd is so fucking painful. Those guys are terrible. I mean, I'm almost embarrassed. We literally only have, in my opinion, look, I ripped him a couple nights ago because he was making excuses, but usually Randazzo's right on par. You know I love Gooby and Mark Langston. Mark Langston in the postgame was like, dude, this was one that got away. This is inexcusable. And Terry was trying to say, well, good. Every dog has its day and a team will come out and fight and blah, blah, blah. And Mark's like, with the talent we have on this team, with the pitching that we have against theirs, he said, Terry, with all due respect, this is the worst team in baseball. And you're trying to stay with your team, the division rival Texas Rangers. You can't lose games like this. You need to win. He says, I understand if Kansas City just has a good day and they put it on you and you lose 6-2, 7-2, then it is what it is. He says, but you lose a game like this when you're up 6 runs in the 7th inning. That's inexcusable. And to a team that's bottom of the barrel with hitting and bottom of the barrel with pitching, that's not supposed to happen to a winning ball club. So Mark Langston has my absolute respect because he calls it like it is, win or lose. I love it. I love – if you've never listened to him, I would take a shot at it. Ryan says they are thinking like playoff is already guaranteed. Stop babying those guys. Treat each game like a playoff game. For fuck's sake, this might be your greatest chance in a long while. And yes, Ryan, and I brought this up too, because some Halo honks come on here or on other pages and they try to like get at me and say you're too negative. And I say, well, where's the positivity supposed to be? 8 years of suck. 8 years of suck. With the Tigers, we are the longest running streak of not making the postseason. If this team had won 3 out of the last 4 years, hell, the Oakland A's have been to the postseason 5 times since we've last been to the postseason. Let that sink in. That team that's been torn down to nothing has been to the postseason 5 times since the last time we've been to the postseason. If we had a track record like that, I would do what they want us to do. Fall in line, be a Halo honk, and trust the process. But what process is there to trust if you've got the pieces in place and you're not using them? I can't honk my honk for that. I just can't. It's not Phil making these calls, Eric says. I'm 100% positive it's Perry making these stupid rules. Well, if it is Eric, again, that's the wrong, whether it's Phil or Perry. Sorry, Eric. If it's one of those two, then one of them's got to stop doing what they're doing. Because it's just because on one hand you have Phil copping to it, and on the other hand you have Perry behind the scenes pushing it. So it's either one of the two or both of them. Anna says fire Nevin. Caesar says Phil is Perry's yes man. Too much of load management. Perry needs to start taking some blame. And I agree, Caesar, because here's my thing. You've got a good thing going, Perry. You've brought in a lot of good pitchers that have rejuvenated this bullpen, rejuvenated the team with guys like Neto and Hoppy and Moniak. No one's criticizing you for your moves in getting these players into this franchise. Believe it. But we are criticizing you if this is the way that you want the team to be ran. Because if this is the case and this is what you want, it's not winning baseball. It is not winning baseball. That strike call on 3-0 to Drury was fucked. Should have been ball 4. Dumbass Nevin coddling Esteves. That's your fucking closer. Close the freaking game. XNC says, I can't believe Philosophy blew an 8-2 lead in the 7th inning. Mickey O says, I agree with above. I think Perry has Nevin's hands tied. Either way, it's a bad look. And, gone are the days of, I'm forgetting the Yankees coach. He was fired by Steinbrenner 3 times. And Steinbrenner used to yell at him and tell him to do what I want you to do. And he would send messages down there, guys down there, because it's, he's telling him, start this guy, don't put this guy in. And they got into all kinds of beef, and it was very public. And I wish Nevin, if it is Nevin being pushed, grow some fucking balls and be like, you know what? I'm on a 1-year deal. I'm doing what this guy is doing, and it's not working. I know better from my gut. I know analytics. I can balance them both out. Stay out of my way. Let me do my thing. Because if Nevin is an old school guy, like I remember him as a baseball player with the Padres and the Angels and the Yankees, he didn't look like a guy who put up with much shit. And for whatever reason, if he is a yes man, he's putting up with some shit. XNC says, against the worst team in the league right now. Exactly. Colorado is a hell of a place to pitch in. The air makes the nightmare for pitchers. Dude had like a 3.5 ERA last year. You should consider that impressive. And I do. That's why I'm glad we got him. Because unlike Tyler Anderson, who pitched in a pitcher's ballpark, you knew his ERA would inflate pitching in the American League, which is a better league hitting. With Esteves getting just a 3.5 over there in Colorado, that's like a 1 point something over here in the American League. And before he actually has like a 1.83 or a 2 point something. You know, it's very minimal right now. So he's actually doing what he's saying. Louis714 says Neto is truly missed. I agree. If Ingram was so nervous, pull his ass. Players don't belong here if they are nervous. Well, you have to face him face the three guys. And I was fine with him facing the three guys, even a fourth. But after that, you should have seen enough. Again, I watched the replay when I got home as far as the last 3 innings. He didn't have it. He was nowhere close to the strike zone. Let's see. Also, Dan Rio says horrible, but it helps that it's 12-0 San Francisco over the team Ghetto. And I'm glad they lost the other night as well. Big time Neto is a major piece of this team's heart, Eric. I agree. Or Lord, we choked to the Royals, Grillmaster says. Also, John Gray matter everywhere for Texas. Eric says Anderson is going to get hit around tomorrow. If we win, it'll have to be a high-scoring game. Zero confidence in that bum. I can't blame you for that, and I can't say that I have any confidence in him either. He tends to change his pitching too much, either stutter steps or stutter releases with that left leg and the right high kick. Doesn't have much on his fastball. He's not really fooling guys this year. I'm worried about Tyler Anderson. Anna says his last start as Matt's schedule was on Friday. He got knocked around against these Royals or versus these Royals last time. Gray with the injury having blistering fury. Anna also says Greinke may be 1-6, but I'm worried about his the match, though we knocked him for a couple runs last time when they played us. Yeah, and we did. I was at that game, but the bullpen blew it. The Angels should have won that game straight up, but it's going to be a tough one right there. Logical decisions, no coddling players. What the hell is that? A.K.A. Nevin. Justin Option says absolutely emotional damage for this game. Big time emotional damage, man.
Emotional damage.
Nevin really pulling up the fridge with nachos containing salmonella chicken. I was listening to the game and tracking everything, but the hit that made it 8-5, I was saying we're fucked. Yeah, they got right back into the game right there. Nervous pitchers don't belong in the bigs. They belong in AAA. Well, he wasn't in AAA before this. He skipped AAA. So, again, I don't mind the attempt. I just mind how long it took to get him out of there. Jason says, why not put Davinsky in after Canning? Nevin should have known this is a must-sweep series. Make sure you close it down. Nope. Well, I mean, again, I would have gone with Tucker Davidson, Colton Ingram, even your boy Loop, but I would have had him on a short leash. Like, if you start getting into trouble after 3 hitters, there's a pretty good chance we got a guy warming up to take your spot in the next hitter. I'm fine with that. A 6-run lead should not evaporate like that. But the problem is he went to every other button that he pushed except Esteves, and nobody could get an out. Unfortunately, Ingram is kind of a guy that we bring up in a Royal series. Phil stuck with a knife in us, leaving him in there too long, and it continued to twist it. Exactly, Lakers fan. He took way too long pulling him. The strike to Jury was not a strike in the 9th. The umps still pay our opponents and fuck us. One that I could really get on right here. Martin says, get Squid off this team. He is a bum. I can agree. Danny says, can only hope that how good we've been playing and lights out and we fire lights. Let me start over. Can only hope with how good we've been playing, the lights of that lights a fire in their asset, and they come out banging these next few games. The end of the day, the baseball, these things happen. Just sucks it happens to us. So I agree. Like, I hope that they turn the page and we can get back to just winning tomorrow, having that precious day and a half off, and getting ready for Los Doyers. And hopefully we beat the Doyers at home. Use Fletcher over Squiddy Poo Poo. Let's see, the Angels bullpen number 1, Japanese symbol says. Well, not tonight. Get rid of Shitty Poo. Landon says, Anna says, I'm surprised Moniak is playing multiple games in a row. Wasn't that the rule to sit him and not play him every 5 games? Should have been, but, maybe they're actually making an exception knowing that he's actually good. Nancy checks in with thanks tonight without honks was very nice. Bring back Fletch back to shortstop. Go Angels. Also give Langston the Stamos Award. He is so smart. Oh, my God, the Dodgers are getting smoked right now. That's awesome. Let's see. Also, Anna says winning is imperative tomorrow. You got to win the series. If you lose the series to the Royals, how embarrassing. How freaking embarrassing. We literally need the Rally Chris special tomorrow. Also, let's see. Anna says at least the cheaters lost. It's 15-0. That's hilarious. I'm waiting for breaking news of somebody being beaten up or killed at Dodger Stadium tonight. I thought if that was going to happen, it was last night. I don't know if you guys saw it, but that whole Sisters of Perpetual whatever they do, they were there, and they brought those people in with they had more people protesting than they did at the game, and they brought them in super early. I mean, usually you do that before first pitch, and they brought them in like over an hour before the game when there was literally nobody there, and there was just some raining boos coming down. So I'm just going to say this because I'm not going to get political, but on here anyway, I have my thoughts on everything, but I would just love for baseball just to stay out of who we have sex with, and sports in general, who we have sex with, what politics that you have, who you want to vote for. I don't need football players, baseball players, NBA players telling me where and when to vote. I don't care who you sleep with. I don't care if you follow this or that. Just play the game we pay to go see and pay to watch. Like, just sports should just steer clear of politics and everything else that comes with it. There's nothing. We don't need these kind of nights. We don't need a night for Christians. We don't need a night for Muslims. We don't need a night for pride. Where was that in baseball? It's never been there. Leave it alone. Like, we go to games to forget what life deals us on occasion, whether good or bad. Like, seriously, the only thing that Major League Baseball and the big four in sports have carried on a tradition of, besides singing the national anthem, is honoring the veterans. And I think that's something that no matter how big you are in any capacity, whatever prideful you are in any capacity, what religion you belong to, can all agree that veterans should be celebrated. And I think that's one thing that should never be lost and should be highly publicized more than religion and politics. Because I don't look to the Dodgers for my religion or the Angels for my religion. I don't look to who I'm going to sleep with by my sport team. But I do want to acknowledge those and give tickets and weigh and be happy that, hey, man, you know what? We back in the day, people fought for our freedom, or they fought for our freedom now, or whatever. They've done good things around the world. Let's give them their 15 minutes of fame. Let's let them sit in a nice area instead of how Artie treats them and sits them in the 500s. Let them sit behind in the Diamond Club. You know what I mean? Like, they deserve it. They come back, lost an arm, or lost their best friend, or they're walking on a, you know, or they're in a wheelchair. Hell yeah, they deserve something. They deserve some gratitude. And if that's what our repaying of them is, to give them the opportunity to freaking be at the game and you know, have first class service and their food comped and everything else comped, well, that's what we should do, because that's been a tradition. But just all this other stuff's got to stop, man. I mean, all it's doing is pulling people away from sports in general. I can't tell you how many of my friends growing up that I've been still talking to all these years are just done with sports. It's sad, because to see like how much sports meant to them at some point. So I don't know. That's just my rant on that. It's kind of just like, I just wish it would all go away. Restunning says, I knew they were going to lose at the least one of the games to the Royals. Fucking Royals. Turn into the 2015 Royals at least once a game each series. Well, they hadn't done it in 10 games, bro. They hadn't done it in 10 games. No, we're not going into those jokes. Todd, I think we're facing that new rude dude from the Dodgers who pitched last night. His name is Emmett Sheehan. Michael, the L.A. Grove that just sent down. Not sure if you read the comment before this or not. I'm not sure. Again, on the pitching matchups, I don't think they've changed it. So I'm just gonna look at it again. Let's see. They got it now. They got it to be announced. Yeah. So that they took out that guy with an 8 ERA. We're definitely getting Kershaw versus Jaime though. But whoever Detmers is facing, I have no idea. And see, that's the other thing. Look at this hole right here that I'm looking at. The Angels not only have off, you gave guys off today, like Esteves. You also have off Monday, and you have off Thursday. Okay, so you have 2 off dates in the next 4 games. Come on. How weak is this team? Read between the lines, Pride Month. Also, no shit, Dan. Trotter here says, do you hear to make... Yeah, how did they get a month, by the way? I that has blown my mind. And real quick, they say that those sisterhood or whatever are fighting for equality and for, you know... And I should post that little part I saw a video on, because I was very anxious or very curious to see what they were advocating and what they actually do in the community. And they literally said, no one's going to listen to regular looking fat guys, but they get the attention by dressing like nuns. Well, you're mocking the faith. And the Dodger pitcher was like, it clearly states in the Dodger code of conduct not to mock anyone's religion, race, creed, or sexual orientation. And they're mocking the religion part. But that should never be involved. You know what I'm saying? Like, that should never be there. But it is what it is, man. I just think it baseball in general, just sports in general, should just distance itself completely. Just completely from everything. Sports in general, just like, hey man, you know what? Military, and if you want to pray before a game, go for it. If you want to salute the flag, go for it. If you don't, go for it. That's your right as a human being. If that's the only controversy, whether people choose to salute the flag, stand up, sit down, whatever, that's on them. That's literally on them. Let's just freaking enjoy the sport that we grew up watching, that we grew up playing. I think that's what gets lost in all this crap. Trotter here says, did you hear to make up for inviting the sisters? Yeah, they're having a Christian day. They're having a Christian day, which makes no sense. Like literally they come out saying we're not mocking the faith, yet they're putting the cross on their privates. They're dancing on a Jesus, like a literal guy that's Jesus. You're coming out. The guy who accepted the award for community had tears coming down his eyes, and he was trying to look like the Pope. It's like, I mean, try doing that to a Muslim. I guarantee you it would have been a bomb threat at Dodger Stadium. Those guys would be getting murdered and mutilated somehow. Try doing that to a Jew. Make fun of a Jew. See where that gets you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, They're lucky the Catholics took it easy on them. I'm not even a Catholic, but that pissed off a lot of Catholics, man. And I don't know why you alienate again, a large part of the Hispanic community in Southern California is freaking Catholic. So whoever thought that this was brilliant is just beyond me. And the fact that the Angels invited him first because they're like, hey, Dodgers, hold my beer. And it's so desperate. You think the desperate Trout here thing was for the Angels or for the Dodgers to be like, oh, we're going to have a Christian day? No, it was desperate by the Anaheim mayor to be like, hey, get your mind off of our lawsuit against me and against the former mayor and the fact that we're crooked here in Anaheim. Let's talk about the sisterhood coming to the game. And I heard only like 3 or 5 of them came to the game, and it was like very, very low key. The news didn't even care about it. But they came to LA where the Dodgers are in a large, much larger Hispanic community. They're lucky those guys got out of there. I mean, they were all like, oh, we're getting threats. No shit, Sherlock. You're mocking someone's religion. You're mocking their belief. You're mocking their lifestyle. What the fuck? And you're like, hey, I don't get it. We're Dodger fans too. But you're dressed up mocking someone's faith or their livelihood or their parents. I mean, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. So my final thing on that is I hope this wakes up sports in general. I heard the Tampa Bay Rays refuse to wear any kind of pride stuff. A couple of the other teams aren't wearing it. The NHL said they're no longer going to do pride nights. If you just push too hard. I mean, look what happened with Bud Light. I mean, you mocked your own people that buy the damn beer. You mocked all of them. You called them frat boys and hillbillies. Again, I have gay friends. They don't drink Bud Light. They drink fancy-ass cocktails and high-end beers or freaking, what are those called? Seltzers. They don't drink Bud Light, so I don't get that. You're just shitting on the only thing that you have, like your people. I don't understand. I don't understand. You know, if people want to buy something, I mean, okay, that's fine. I mean, I'm even under the let's just throw away all that stuff we were talking about real quick. You know what bothers me? You know what grinds my gears personally? I don't like all this gender bathroom bullshit. Like, literally, you don't know if there's a guy hiding in a freaking male-female restroom or if a guy's going to walk in. I've been to a couple restaurants that went full-on woke. And literally, it has 2 entryways, right? No doors. And it has a elongated area of about 4 or 5 places to wash your hands. And then it has stalls, bathroom stalls lined against the walls. There's no urinal, but there's bathroom stalls, like 6 of them. And what does that mean? It says all-inclusive bathrooms, meaning I can say, my daughter wants to use the restroom. Go ahead, I'll wait out here, honey. And then there's a 40-year-old man walking in that same restroom, either pissing or taking a dump right next to my daughter or your son or your daughter. How is that kosher? Why did it become such an issue for us to have to share a bathroom or that we can't put a man and a female on the bathroom thing? That drives me insane. I've never really liked using public restrooms in general, but I really don't like using them now. I'd rather hold that shit, piss in a bottle, or shit in the woods. It's beyond me, man. Because if I had little kids right now, I would be terrified. Terrified. Because they always got to pee and take a dump at the most inopportune times. And you can't go anywhere without getting into an inclusive bathroom or freaking, gender-friendly crap. Come on, dude. Come on. That's what gets me. I'm sorry. I know we went way off. I apologize. It's just, lot of stuff going on. Sisters of Satan, I met against the Angels, were stunning, says. Yeah, you're right. Let's see. Lakers fan in Japan says exactly changing all the All-Star game location last year because of politics was so fucking stupid. And you know what's crazy about that too, Lakers fan? The Braves wound up winning the World Series anyway. And the community that they effed over was a community that they were bitching about the rights for. It's mostly black in Atlanta. Atlanta lost millions upon millions of dollars for small business and hotels, black-owned companies. They suffered. And you moved the All-Star game to a white Denver. They've already had the All-Star game. So it's sad. The Braves, a lot of people lost money during that. That was another stupid thing. Also, Anna says, Todd, you totally like talking about pride. I just like mixing it up. Christopher says, agree on everything. Grillmaster said, hey, Todd, anything good for the foot menu? Ha, ha, ha. I identify as a baseball restunning. Oh, geez, you guys in the toes. Let's see. Also, speaking of mocking, this game mocks me and my anger. Ryan says, I salute Trevor Williams for speaking up against the embarrassment of the group. And true that, too, Ryan. He said some beautiful things, and he said it eloquently, and I think that's why no one can throw any backlash at him, because he said it smart, like he came with it. Why can't sports just be sports? All the politics and religion just ruin sports. I agree. Man says, when you push it too hard, it breaks and pushes back. Agreed. And it's going to keep doing that if they keep pushing. The Angels didn't invite them and bring them onto the field. It was the Anaheim mayor that gave them the tickets. Oh, okay. Thank you for correcting me there, JT. I knew the mayor had something to do with it. I wasn't sure if that was an arty thing as well. So thank you. The fans, they were not special guests like at Dodger Stadium. Oh, okay. So that would make sense then, because I did have a few people tell me that they were special guests, but since they weren't special guests, that makes sense why it wasn't such a big thing, because they weren't on the field. From the picture I saw, I think they were by the team store, JT. So yeah, you're right. My bad, dude. Christopher says, I support neutral gender restrooms in the public, especially in the business settings, in the name of equality and freedom. Okay. I just don't like it. There are only two genders. Laugh my ass off. Also, this topic Todd is talking about is shit. That's where it belongs sometimes. That got moved because Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, is a nah. But look, people make a lot of mistakes. Politicians are hardly ever right. But that's, again, it should never jump into sports. And the fact that I'm talking about it too kind of pisses me off, because it shouldn't be a thing. Do we win with Esteves in the 9th? 88% of you guys said yes, and 12% said no. Boy, I wish I could send that to our boy Philosophy, because, again, this is the one that got away, and we're going to have games like this. But if one got away and a game like this happened, I'd prefer it to happen against a Houston or a Seattle or a Minnesota or a Toronto, a New York Yankees, a Baltimore, a Tampa Bay. You get what I'm saying, right? Against winning teams, I would get this better. I'd be like, okay, fine. It happens. We can't win them all. But losing to Kansas City, a team that now, if you look at their numbers, they have scored 265 runs, okay? That is, in the American League, 5 runs short, or 5 runs more than the worst team, which is Oakland, or as far as scoring wise. They only have 5 more runs than them. They have 9 more runs. Actually, it's Detroit. Detroit's the worst, 256. But they have allowed 374 runs, which is a differential of 109. So a team like this should not be beating us. And especially a team like this should not be scoring 10 runs. Had they won yesterday when we were up 3-0 and they scored 4 runs late, I'd be like, well, that 4 runs, that's a lot for them. That's probably 8 or 10 runs right there. I get it. They did it. Okay, we lost. We blew it. You had a 6-run lead. That should feel like 16 against these jokers. Again, if you look at this team, the Royals, their rookie got his first hit, and it was the walk-off. And you look at the lineup on the Royals team right here. You got Prado. Who the hell's Prado? I get Bobby Witt Jr. I get Salvador Perez. Melendez, Olivares, Polanco, Garcia, Lopez, Taylor, Waters. Those are all household names, right? Those are all guys that you fear. This lineup is crazy good. Absolutely not, dude. Like, we have no reason to be losing to these guys. But it happened. It happened in a most dramatic way. So, again, tomorrow is huge. Got to turn it around and got to win that game. And hopefully Toronto takes the series in Texas. And then we'll see what happens with them moving forward, because I believe Texas has got Chicago White Sox. They're going to face Chicago White Sox for 3 games at Chicago, which, again, Chicago plays better on the road. And or at home, I'm sorry. And then they got to go to New York. The Rangers do. So while we go to Colorado, the Rangers go to New York. So that's good for us. Houston finishes up with Cincinnati on Monday. Then they get kind of a break. See, right now they're playing a hot Cincinnati Reds. Then they got to face off against the New York Mets, who are all over the place, thanks to our fearless former leader, Billy Epler. Then they got the Dodgers at L.A. So that is going to be an intense series right there. So the Angels, again, you got the Dodgers coming up, and then the Colorado Rockies. And, man, I'm telling you, there's an opportunity here. There is an opportunity to really move ahead right here, because after the Rockies, we got the White Sox at home for 4. They don't play that good on the road. Then we got the first place Diamondbacks, 3 with the Padres, 2 with the Doyers at Doyer Stadium, and then we got the All-Star break. So we're close to the All-Star break here. We're only, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We are 18 games away. 18 games away from the All-Star game. Plenty of opportunities to catch up and possibly tie the Texas Rangers. So I'm going to look at the Rangers schedule right now, because I want to just see this before we exit here. So Texas will go with, like I said, they finish up with the Blue Jays tomorrow. Then they're at Chicago for 3. They're at New York for 3. Then they're home against the Tigers, who suck, for 4 games. So while we're playing the White Sox, they're playing the Tigers at home. So that White Sox series, we got to win those games. But they turn around and they play the Houston Astros on June 30th through July 3rd at home. Big series there. Then can the Red Sox help us out, or are they giving up by this time in early July from the 4th through the 7th? And then the Nationals, they're at Washington. So they have a bit of a rough schedule there compared to us, I believe. And so the time is now. The time is now to be playing good and not losing games like we did to Kansas City. That's all I'm saying about that. Restunning says, if the Angels lose tomorrow, should we worry? Absolutely. Tyler Anderson needs to come through with a good start. Also says, which New York team do they go to, Todd? They play the Yankees, the Jankies. During the Dodgers-Astros series, expect more fights and fatalities. I totally see that right there. Trotter here says, happy Father's Day, Todd, to you and Papa Fox and anyone listening who's a father. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Trotter here. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be on tomorrow. It might just be one of those family days, so I'll be around right there. If anything, I will see you all on Tuesday. We tried to get a watch party for that Angels-Dodgers series, but I think what we're going to do, the Yankees. We're going to do a couple games like we did last time where we broadcast, and I think we're going to do the Yankee series after the break, We might try to squeeze in one or two before that, but I doubt it. We'll have to see. I have to talk to the guys. But I think for sure we're going to do the Yankees one real quick. Yeah, I'll take a couple quick calls right now. 714-598-3221. I'll just take like 2 or 3 real quick and then I got to bounce. It's already 9. I got one more day of work tomorrow, and I'm probably going to be catching the game on on the radio again. So that's going to suck. But freaking FedEx never closes, man. And when you're the lowest guy in the totem pole as far as like I got the job I wanted, but it's just freaking they start you off with a real shitty schedule. I got 9 to 5. Some of these guys get like at least 6 to 3, 6 to 2, but damn, dude, like seriously. I don't know if the phones are they not working again? Because I think last time what I didn't do was I had to like restart the whole system, and then it popped up and worked yesterday. So maybe that's it. I'll probably have to just do that from now on, because the last time it was still showing that Randy had called, and the number would not go off the thing. So right here it's showing that James's number. See? Let's see. Now let's see if – hold on. I'm going to try calling it and see if it works. If it doesn't work, then we are asked out. Then it's one of those I have to start over the damn thing again. Telling you, my computer is pretty stacked and it works good when it wants to. And then it just like goofs up in the system like, I don't know, dude. This thing fights me more than anything. See, right now I'm not even getting a dial tone. I'm dialing it right now. Yep, it didn't even click on. Ugh. Let me try this again. Okay, now try it. It may work now. Nope. Still being stupid. Oh well. Well, there you go. So it's still not working. I'll have it going for sure on Tuesday. But again, happy Father's Day. Glad you reminded me, Trouta here. We'll do this again on Tuesday. And sorry for the lagging on the phones. I'll have it working again next time we come on here. So for everyone on Halos in the Infield, enjoy the rest of your Saturday night, what's left of it, and we'll be back here Sunday. At least someone will, I think, to do the post game, and then if not, like I said, we'll see you on Tuesday. So go Angels, and we got to get that win tomorrow. My God,